we're going to jump right on in. Hello, cousins. Okay, Maddie warned me that this feels so weird. She was right. Miss you. Maddie has been going on a little adventure. I thought she was in Montana. Turns out MO, like the abbreviation of the state MO, is not Montana. It's Missouri. So she was there and in New York visiting her family. So we can't be too mad at her, or maybe I'll just choose to be mad. So I am going to do a solo pod today, which is really sad because typically I feel like I just say funny things and then she laughs and it makes me feel really good. But if I'm being honest, I'm a Sagittarius rising and I can talk to a wall. So I think that this is going to be fine. But I'm recognizing that my monotone, dry sense of humor sometimes, I don't know if this is going to be well received, but I am excited to be here. Maddie gave me the theme of sparkles, which if you're looking at me right now, you think, what the fuck, Emily? You really did not drive that one home. So let me get into my outfit because I also have some laundry list items. They're spicy, everyone. Okay, so the other day, had this realization. If you've listened to the pod, you know that I have been really utilizing my cousin. Nope. I have been really utilizing my roommate for items to wear. And I realized that I need to level up. So I went to Zara and H&M and spent too much money, but I got some really cute things. So I am wearing you can't really tell, but it's like a ribbed corseted black top with like skinny little straps, and then it kind of goes down into a V, but again, it's hard to kind of show on camera while I'm also sitting in this chair. Now, here are the sparkles. I just flashed you my underwear. I'm really sorry. So sorry. I am wearing a mini skirt that I have had for about 10 years. She's really held up. It is navy blue with sparkles, specifically sequins all over. Okay. Again, I cannot not show you my underwear. And it should have been cuter, but it's just a white pair of granny panties. So sorry. And then this is really hard. I finally upped my shoe game and I am wearing some kitten heels that are black patent leather, pointed toe. Because honestly, I don't know about you guys, but anytime I wear a pointed toe, I feel like a fucking baddie. Like I feel like no one can stop me. And then I'm also wearing some, oh my gosh, my set heels are stuck in a variety of cords. A type A person saw me right now, they would be really disappointed. Okay, I'm also wearing these. They're like a cat eye-ish square rectangular frame. Did a horrible job describing that. They're black, but they do give a really elevated chic look to this fit, in my opinion. And then as always, actually, let me take these off. There we are. I'm wearing these kind of dangly little gold earrings because, again, I am an earring gal. And then I typically just wear my simple gold necklace. I forgot to put my rings on, and I absolutely feel nude and vulnerable in front of you guys. Love that for me. I have some updates as far as laundry list goes. So if you're new to the pod, I started dating a couple, I don't know when it was. We're in beginning stages though. We're dipping our toes. We're building our confidence. A little context. I never really had like a dating era. Like I feel like I've always been just kind of like a dating one person at a time. And when I say dating, like it's casual, right? You know, and we're allowed to do that. But I feel like switching my brain to not be like attached to one person, especially given my ADHD, has been challenging. So I have heard from the ladies that it can help to sometimes have a couple people that you're learning about yourself, you're learning what you like, you're learning how you present to other people. It's been great. I went on a second date. I feel like that detail is extremely important here. So I went on a second date maybe like 3 weeks ago. I don't know. My timing is, I say the other day and I'm referring to a year ago. So time is irrelevant, but it wasn't yesterday. I'll tell you that. So I went on a second date. This gentleman took me to a cute little tucked away coffee shop meets bar with a like auditorium situation, super artsy, really cute. And we listened to 3 kind of undiscovered local artists, which was so fun. One of the guys that performed for us, I was I'm super into music. I've always been. So I feel like I hate myself for what I'm about to say, but I was like, I have an ear for it. Maddie, just edit that out, okay? I just got the ick for myself. Anyways, loving this date. He's holding my hand, and I've never experienced sexual tension in a handhold. If you're listening, okay, there's a handhold, right? And then there's like when someone's kind of like pressing against and there's like a little bit of tension. I was like, oh shit, I need to level up my hand holding game. That was nice. Loved that. Was like, okay, things are getting hot and heavy through hands. That's all. That could be sexually interpreted. Just a handhold. Anyways, so we leave the event and we decide we're going to get food because I am ravenous and that's just what I wanted to do. So, but before that, we were so close to the ocean that I was like, hey, can we walk over to the water? Because I live 15, 20 minutes away from the beach. So I'm not there every single day. So I always like to take advantage of it. So we walk over to the water and we're just talking. He gets to the point where he was like, oh, I was going to kiss you. And so then I was like, okay, well, let's take care of that. Which again, I'm growing confidence by the day in my dating world, and it's been so fun. I am dabbling with a flirt game that I didn't know that I had. So that's exciting that has really come to fruition here. So he starts kissing me, great kisses, but then we're not on like a main street at this point, but we're in public. And all of a sudden it just turns out into like a full-on makeout session, not by my own doing. Like at this point, I'm a true follower. I'm going to let you take the charge. Took the charge to just fully makeout session. It was a lot. And then it actually wasn't a lot because it became a lot more. So the night progresses, we get dinner, conversation's great. Then we go to an actual main street. So like think about like any like city, okay, at like 10 o'clock at night, like a main street. There's people. There's a lot of people. There's sidewalks filled with people and eyes and thoughts and commentary. I am about to go home because I'm like, this has been great. I've enjoyed it. I need to get to bed. I'm a responsible gal. And he starts kissing me again. It turns out like it is a full-blown makeout sesh, like tongue, teeth, saliva all over my mouth. Like I am like, oh my God, I can hear and feel people walking by, like not even within arm distance, like half an arm. And then all of a sudden I hear from across the street, there's people at a bar that are yelling at us to stop, essentially. So then I start laughing. So then this individual was like, why are you laughing? And I'm like, sir, I don't do this. I'm going to be honest. This is the first time that I've fully made out. Like this is like pre-sex makeout. Like it's not just like it's like, what is happening? Anyways, he was like, are you uncomfortable? And then I was like, I'll try anything once. And he was like, okay. And then I was like, no, literally like all of my life is new. Like I'm going to try everything once and I'm fine to like put myself out there. And then I'm going to, I'll revisit it and really see if that's something that I actually like. I am not a PDA gal. So I get into the car and first of all, I have like saliva all over my face. And I wish Maddy would have saved this voice memo because honestly, it was one of my funnier ones. I sent her like a 10-minute voice memo of me basically decompressing from the fact that I have had multiple stages of life in the way that I go about relationships. At one point, I was a prude, and then I, didn't really date. And then I feel like I just have not had the experiences maybe that a 31-year-old woman should have had. But I don't even know where I was going with that. I think it's honestly still frustrating. Happy to have the learning opportunity. It was a hot makeout sesh. I learned that I'm not a PDA gal. So that happened. Pretty funny. And now I'm really struggling, you guys, with what to share on the pod because this is rather public and rather discoverable. And I told one of the guys that I was dating, I was like, okay, you're going to watch the pod and either you're going to fall in love with me or you're going to have the greatest ick. And truly, like, there's no in between, which I guess is like a really good way to like really vet through some candidates there. But I also don't know how to navigate this, like potentially dating multiple people at the same time and how that will be received. But also, I'm an open book. So if I was out on a date and someone was like, "Are you dating other people?" I would say absolutely. And then I would see where that took us. But I am going on dates right now with a doctor, and that's really fun. And yeah, we're studying anatomy together. Take that as you will. So that's my laundry list. I'm trying to think of anything else that I have that might be a fun little add to this pod. I honestly might have Maddy edit in her laughs if I can, just because I do feel like there's a lot of silence recording a podcast by yourself. Multiple people do this. Like, I don't know if I would start a podcast by myself. I mean, God knows I have a lot to say, but I love a good banter. I think I've said this, especially I'm discovering that in my dating life, that like you need to stimulate my mind and banter with me before you're going to stimulate anything else. Candidly. We are going to get some branding, some fun little bags or shirts that say candidly, because at this point, it's my trademark. So I love that for myself. As far as what we're going to unpack today, you thought that you followed this podcast because you get to hang out with two ADHD girlies in their 30s that talk about dating and being on the spectrum and what it's like to just navigate the world and life and chronic illness and all of these things. So I'm going to talk to you today about craniosacral therapy. Please stay. I promise you it's fun. Honestly, it's something that I nerd out on. And I think I had mentioned on the pod. So again, if you are a week-to-week listener, first of all, thank you. I went to Salt Lake City a few weeks back to go to a conference. I'm in massage therapy school. I need to be able to get some type of certification to basically practice craniosacral therapy, which is what I went to the conference for. So I'm doing massage therapy school. I'll get my certification to be a licensed massage therapist midsummer. And then I'm also pursuing my craniosacral certification that I will also have midsummer. So if you are listening from the lovely city of San Diego and you would like some body work done, you can listen to all of the ins and outs of craniosacral, why I got into it, what this modality looks like and why it's so important and why I'm so passionate about it. And then book a session, because right now I need to get some hours. So I am doing free hour sessions. I didn't mean for this to be super salesy. I just, again, honestly, anytime I can get someone on my table and kind of show them this work, like I fucking nerd out about it. I love it. Basically, if you are unfamiliar with craniosacral therapy, it is a modality that is rooted in it's an osteopathic technique, which osteopathy is basically getting the body to a place of being able to self-heal. Our bodies are incredibly smart. They're incredibly responsive. I believe that so much of our diseases, ailments, chronic illnesses, things like that can be healed through the body. However, we all live in a chronic state of nervous system dysregulation, and therefore our bodies are in a chronic state of fight or flight, and they are not able to get ourselves back to a parasympathetic where we are able to get ourselves back into a homeostasis. I'm saying a lot of large words. I recognize that. I'm going to take a step back. Parasympathetic state is basically the state that you go into when you sleep. So that's when you are calm, when your autonomic processes go on, like breathing, digestion, all of the things that you don't think about that need to actually happen in order for your body to continue working. Those are all of your autonomic processes. So you want to be in your parasympathetic for the majority of your day, arguably, to be able to have like a healthy way of living. Now, you do have a sympathetic system, which is basically your fight or flight stress state, and you are designed to have that for a reason. I mean, this is going to sound dramatic, but if we had like a threat back in the day, I don't like this example. Maddy, you don't know this yet. I know I said that I was going to take a stab at editing this. I'm not. I'm overwhelmed. I don't think I can. I got a test this week. I got 2 dates. I got multiple massages. I need your help. Shout out to Mads, though. She's been really carrying this pod. I'm going to be honest. She's the one that does all of our editing. She really we both keep each other grounded in separate ways, but truly the way in which she pushes us through, I am so grateful. And I told her I would have given up after first week if I would have had to edit this podcast, because that is not the way in which my brain is wired. What was I saying? Let me get some coffee and let me look at my notes. Oh, fuck. Just chugs my coffee. Let me see here. Okay, actually, I know that I kind of defined an osteopathic technique, but I want to read this definition because naturally it's better than what I described. So an osteopathic technique, which is basically what craniosacral therapy is, it's a holistic system of manual medicine that focuses on treating the whole person rather than just the symptoms by manipulating the musculoskeletal system to enhance self-healing. I think why I struggle with Western medicine, and for those that have not been on the pod, I found bodywork and all of these kind of more holistic approaches because of the fact that I dealt with years of chronic illness that was so unexplained, and then later found out that I have endometriosis, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, focused in more hypermobility, some POTS symptoms, dysautonomia. We also have a episode that is going over chronic illness, so I don't want to be too redundant. But this is how I found bodywork. Our system, especially as I'm in massage, I always say this to clients, like, we have a kinetic chain. When something is off, it's going to impact something else. You cannot look at one part of the body without looking at the whole system in itself. However, we have taught ourselves that we can. A lot of that is reducing the symptom, which I think that there's a lot of credibility. I don't think that anyone should live in pain. So I think that Western medicine is super helpful in the sense of, like, getting to more of a point of relieving symptoms, but I also think that it's super important. I'm a big root cause gal, so figuring out, the why behind you're having so much pain. So for my body, I think a lot of the root cause is my body type. So Ehlers-Danlos syndrome has a lot of different subtypes. The one that I think that I have, a lot of this is suspicion because of the fact that testing sometimes is just honestly not worth it. And if you have enough markers, like the way in which you present, there's no treatment for Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. So nothing really changes in diagnosis. But the one that I have, they're not sure if there's an actual genetic marker. I do think that though there is a genetic component to it, I'm unsure. That's just, again, kind of like my theory to my body. I also do think that there is a emotional and trauma informed part of this, what creates dysregulation in my body. So I think that for a lot of chronic illness, the root cause is that dysregulation piece. However, people that have more of a genetic predisposition are going to potentially be more likely to be dysregulated. I think of, for instance, the statistic for like chronic illness or like autoimmune conditions is it impacts 80% of women. So think about the fact that we live in a patriarchal society designed for men to thrive. Women have a 28, 30-day cycle. Men have a 24-hour cycle. So we are not living by the means of honoring our week-to-week, how in which we are supposed to present a little bit differently. We are operating at a 24-hour cycle if we're going to a typical 9 to 5 and, we're driving in traffic and we need to do all of these errands and we have triggers within our relationships and stressors. And I feel like I'm not even doing a great job, but we all know that we carry stress, right? So that makes sense in terms of why women would struggle to be a little bit more dysregulated. The first time that I really experienced body work was I found my acupuncturist, who also is a licensed massage therapist. She would do a little bit of body work on me. And then I had actually connected with someone. My ex-husband had a friend that experienced this practitioner. And so I had decided to go. And if you find the right practitioner, it should be pretty intuitive versus like this more scientific approach, if that makes sense. Now, with craniosacral, and I will get into more of what that looks like, it is both scientific and also intuitive and energetic. And I genuinely, like anything, believe that the balance is a necessary piece. I absolutely believe the body keeps the score. So we have all of this tissue, right? And we have all of this fascia, which is basically your connective tissue that holds all of your organs, all of your joints, is everywhere. And I believe that it keeps the score when you have emotions that are stored in your body because you're not able to have them come in and then have them leave. There's a lot of different modalities that can help you with that. I'm a big proponent of somatic therapy. There's a lot of research in movement and being able to actually get emotions out of your body. You know, I'm talking about craniosacral today, but we should have known that this is going to be very tangential. Fuck, I hate that word. There's going to be a lot of tangents that I'm going to go on because of the fact that there's just a lot of layers to the work that I do. And I think that there's like a lot of theories, there's a lot of proven things, there's a lot of scientific approaches, there's a lot of energetic and a right brain intuitive approach, which is really interesting. Earlier, I explain what a generalized osteopathic technique was. Now, when you get into the work that I am looking to do, craniosacral therapy is a gentle, non-invasive, hands-on technique that releases deep tension in the body to relieve pain and dysfunction, primarily focused on the membranes and the fluids surrounding the brain and the spinal cord. So it was created by a doctor of osteopathy. So that's why it's relevant that it is an osteopathic technique. So truly rooted in treating as a whole. Now, I'm going to get into a little bit more of like the science. So the craniosacral system is basically your head down to your coccyx, which is your tailbone. So you have your whole autonomic nervous system. In that system, you have your whole dural tube that is surrounding the spinal cord. You've got a lot going on in here. Now, the reason why craniosacral therapy can be controversial to the Western world is because we've actually been taught that we have multiple bones within our skull. However, after a certain point in your life, they actually fuse. Now, in terms of osteopathy and this craniosacral technique, that has been debunked, but again, there's always going to be multiple opinions in the world of medicine. What's frustrating about the world of medicine is sometimes we can get so stuck on what we've been taught and what we know. However, I think that in whatever field you are, you always need to approach things, especially your patients, my God, with a lens of curiosity because of the fact that we're always evolving. We don't know everything right now, and we need to be okay with that. But we also need to have a lens of curiosity so that when we do have other potential facts or intriguing evidence that comes across our table, we need to be open to it because at the end of the day, that's going to only further our knowledge and our ability to help treat patients, clients, whatever that looks like. So basically, when practitioners are doing craniosacral therapy, they are working through that whole system. And I learned what's called like the 10-step approach protocol, which is basically going through and treating the body as a whole, touching on various points through a light touch, which is basically like the weight of a nickel, which is about 5 grams. So a lot of times before I have people on my table, I'm like, this is not going to be a true massage. It's going to seem super weird. I'm literally going to be like pressing on you. You wear your clothes. Like it's kind of crazy how people can leave the table feeling a variety of different things with me barely even touching them. So a lot of what it looks like is the initial practice of assessing the body. And what I'm doing is I'm feeling for their craniosacral rhythms. So when I'm imagining a rhythm, it's going to be like how you can feel a pulse. When I'm on different points of the body, I can actually feel their craniosacral rhythms. And there's like a different, it's called Squire. I'm blanking on what that is as far as the specific definitions, but basically you're evaluating. Is it robust? Is it fluid? Is it going more to one side? Is it catching or like stagnant? What does that look like? And it's going to tell you a lot as far as what's happening in that specific area of the body and then holistically as well. So we go through and we assess multiple parts of the body all the way from the feet to the head, and then you begin treating. So one of the things that I love is a lot of the treatments I will be placing one hand under the client and then one hand over and doing some really soft tissue manipulation. And it is very crazy as a practitioner. Like I can feel the tissue moving underneath my hands. And I've had some clients that are like, I can literally feel what you're doing. This is crazy. And I've had some people that are maybe a little bit less in their body, which again, we all have our own experiences, but it's been really cool to be able to talk through and feel what people are feeling, especially compared to what I'm feeling as well. So I go through a couple points above the pubic bone all the way to the hyoid. And I always warn people that this one can feel, again, think 5 grams of pressure. So like I am barely touching, but this can be a little bit of a vulnerable place for individuals to receive. And basically what we're doing is we're creating movement through that fascia, through that tissue, to get basically restoration within the body and to increase the cerebral spinal fluid. So again, the body can go back into balance and homeostasis, which again, if you're unfamiliar with homeostasis, that's basically back to like that balanced state, right? Where your body is able to self-heal. You are not feeling so funny how we use words and then we're like, how do I actually, okay, define homeostasis. Okay, yeah. So it's a self-regulating automatic process by biological systems in a stable, relatively constant internal environment despite changing external conditions. I don't like that one. That felt weird. Okay. Basically, I'm saying balance, and that's where my mind went, is getting your body back into balance. And then one of my favorite things, we hold a lot of stress within our occipital region, which is kind of the base between the top of the neck and the base of the skull. So we'll do a lot of tissue manipulation there. And then what I move on to is the sacrum release. Again, everyone is fully clothed. I go in and I place my hand underneath the sacrum, which is right above the tailbone. It can feel a little bit intimate, but I talk you through it so it feels a lot less invasive, I guess. And basically, I am tractioning the sacrum because of the fact that think about when you are walking around, you have so much weight that is compressing all of your spine, your vertebrae, everything. It's putting a lot of pressure. So I am tractioning that to basically give some relief to the full dural tube, which again, craniosacral system, all the way up to the head, and basically helping, again, that cerebral spinal fluid to flow properly to get the body back into homeostasis. So after I traction the sacrum, and again, I'm putting this in very like simplistic, but this whole protocol is about an hour, and I've only, I feel like, touched the tip of the iceberg as far as this modality. I'm really excited. I'm going to the second conference in July. I'm going to go stay with Maddy's older brother. So I'm excited to share more about it. It's June, it's not July. Yeah, okay. So then I go up to the head. This is where I'm actually working on the different bones. And I am using what we call direction of energy, essentially, to free up the sutures within the head to create more fluidity within the cerebral spinal fluid. So again, everything is rooted back into getting the body back into this free-flowing state to regulate the craniosacral pulse that I am feeling throughout the body. And basically, when people get off my table, it's been really cool. The most common reaction I get from this is people are in a parasympathetic state, which again, they are like sleepy, they are ready to take a nap, they are feeling heavy in the best way. And again, so your body can not feel like it's in the fight or flight and they can kind of take care and re-regulate the things that they actually need to. So I work with a lot of body workers. I will share my practice with them because of the fact that they obviously get that. But then I also work with clients that are like, I have no idea what body work is, craniosacral. I'm coming in very blind. So because of the fact that you are working with the tissue and the body keeps a score, the emotions can be held in the tissue. Sometimes people will have emotions come up, and I always warn people on my table that, sometimes things can be brought up to the surface, but I always use the analogy of a junk drawer. We all have a junk drawer, right? It's just the life we live. So think about when you get to the point where you're like, oh my gosh, this is too full. This is chaotic. I need to reorganize my junk drawer. That's what this kind of modality sometimes feels like, is like you're taking everything out. Everything is coming to the surface, right? And then you're reorganizing it. So it's going to get a little messy before it gets better and kind of calms down. So sometimes when I've done this modality, people will have some like racing thoughts a little bit. People have been seeing some imagery come. My favorite is when people are laying on the table, there's like twitching. So I can literally see the tissue responding to the treatment. And the way in which I see twitching is the stagnant energy that no longer serves the body, kind of wanting to try and like exit the body. That's how I interpret it. Also, too, like I'm not a doctor. Of osteopathy. So if I say something that's like slightly wrong, I'm still refining and learning more about the technique. I feel like I always have to give that disclosure, but it's been really fun to be able to see the different experiences on my table. I have had a few instances in which I have felt some type of like chakra aligning when something's not working properly. I do believe in chakras being blocked. One of the biggest ones for me, I feel like for my whole life, is having a blocked throat chakra. So that's like the inability to express, to speak your truth, everything like that. So actually, a lot of times when I'm treating the hyoid, that is what comes up for me with people. I wouldn't be surprised if the majority of us have felt, whether it's consistent or at one point in our life, that we've felt like the inability to express ourselves through our voice, right? And so that has been a really consistent thing that has come up. And it was actually really cool because I always listen to my clients before I speak because of the fact that I don't want to inform their own experience. I want to hear that, and then I will confirm or kind of tell them what I have experienced on my end. But with one of my classmates, he and I had the same exact thing where he was like, I felt this like feeling of like, I need to speak something, which is weird because I'm usually very expressive. So I don't know what that's about. And I was like telling him, my hands could not open up your throat energetically more. Like I literally was like, your throat chakra needs to be open. Like it was such a cool synonymous, I'm going to put that word out there, I think it makes sense, experience. That was incredible. Also, when I was working on him, I said in previous podcast episodes that I believe so much of women's power is like when we're rooted in like our sacral chakra. And I could literally, when I was working on him, I like sank so low into my pelvis. Like it was crazy. And I felt like so much of my power was reignited. I also was working on someone, and literally when I was working on them, I felt this sensation of this physical thing on my third eye. And then it was really tingly and fuzzy. Also, anytime I take an edible, I don't know if I've shared this on the pod, but I think I was going to because I wanted to show my unicorn horn. So anytime I take an edible, I feel like I have a unicorn horn. And now I think that it has something to do with my third eye being open. Yeah, so that's me. If you're listening to this and you're like, what the hell? Just have an open mind. Everyone loves a curious person. I am learning so much about myself and about body work and anatomy. And it's been so cool. Like, I feel like I've always been a very philosophical and curious person. And I love that about myself. And I really do feel like when we open ourselves up to new knowledge, new ideas, new thoughts, I do feel like it just creates the opportunity for new and better realities to come about. I always say, like, never close the door for yourself. Always leave it open. I am going on a tangent right now. Maddy, I don't know if this is going to be a good episode. I'm so sorry. Good luck. I miss you. Why did I choose to do it's because I love this. It's because I'm really passionate about it. Okay, so a couple things that I want to add to my description of craniosacral therapy, and I know that I'm bouncing around. I had mentioned gentle touch, head, spine, sacrum, craniosacral therapy. I really like the word of unwinding restrictions because when I'm actually doing like the palpations, which I'm like kind of touching the tissue very gently and I can feel the tissue move, sometimes my hand literally goes and it feels like it's unwinding. There's this one where I pull the ears and I feel like the energy of the body that I'm working on literally takes my hands and is telling me the direction in which it needs to be unwound. Is unwound a word? I don't know. I feel like it is one of those things you do need to receive in order to like fully understand it. This is a technique that is honestly, I think, only been adopted by like 1 to 3% of people receiving it as like a treatment for your health, nervous system. When you're getting into craniosacral, I mentioned like I'm getting my certification through massage therapy, but you can be a physical therapist and give this work. You can be a licensed massage therapist. You can be a occupational therapist. You can be an EMT. Anything that has like a general foundation of anatomy, you can actually get into this work and be able to get certificate. What the fuck? Certificate? Okay. Certified, which is exciting. I like talking to someone else so much better. So basically the goal is to release the fascia, which is the connective tissue, and any restrictions that I believe are really caused by a lot of, I mean, it can be from like if you have a traumatic injury as far as like something like a physical accident or anything like that. It's easy to think about the more acute things that happen, but the chronic, like emotional stressors, that's something that I think is coming more to the surface as far as what is truly putting all of us in a chronic state of fight or flight. As far as if you're interested in this modality or you're curious of like why the fuck would I receive this? I mean, other than just simply regulating your nervous system, it's really good at addressing both the acute and then also the chronic pain, headaches, because of the fact that you're freeing up the sutures within the craniosacral system. And then also TMJ. So many people I feel like have so much tension, clenching of the jaw, everything like that. So there is an actual technique in which I am helping to free up that joint. And then again, stress, any traumatic brain injuries. One of the things that's so cool that I saw, so, we think about concussions. Obviously, they're no good. You don't want them. And I feel like there has been a lot of medical research and advancement in treating those, or just this desire to prevent concussions. Now, you think about the craniosacral system and it's your head, again, to your tailbone. There is now new thoughts and research that if you injure your tailbone, it's like a concussion because of the fact that it equally impacts the craniosacral system. And again, that cerebral spinal fluid that then will put your body out of that homeostasis. I'm going to dive more into that in my own research because I think it's crazy. I mean, how many of us have fallen on our ass? I can think about one time when I was younger. I was in my downstairs basement as a child. It was before we remodeled it, so it was just cement on the ground. I remember I fell, and I can actually, like, those moments when you can literally like feel the pain that you felt. Like, I can feel that sensation, and I'm like, is that why I am a little fucked up? Just makes you think, right? I'm a girl that's passionate about chronic illness and finding modalities that really support people. The concept of fibromyalgia, which honestly, a lot of times doctors will give you that kind of blanket diagnosis because of the fact that they don't have anything else to be able to give you. I mean, when I was 24, I went to a rheumatologist's office and I said, please help me. I'm having so much pain. I shouldn't be having pain as a 24-year-old. They told me you should take Advil and do more yoga. And then they gave me a pamphlet for fibromyalgia, but they didn't actually talk to me about it. So if you've heard of like IBS, basically like fibromyalgia is the IBS, but of like the whole system. So think chronic pain. Fibromyalgia is thought to have basically there's dysregulation within the nervous system, like your actual nerves are overfiring or oversensitive. So again, when you think about the nervous system and if you can regulate that, that is going to be super helpful for someone who is having too much of that firing. They're getting more research on fibromyalgia. There's not a whole lot of studies that I'm personally aware of. I think there's a lot of things to like help with the symptoms, but not necessarily figure out like the root cause. But this is something that can, again, get that system into regulation to really mitigate and help you to have less of those acute and chronic flares of nerve pain, systemic chronic pain. I really have to pee, and I have no idea if this was a good episode. Can I be really honest? I am trying to think of if I did this justice. I don't know if I did, but I also think that I'm being really hard on myself because it's something that I'm really passionate about. And literally anyone who knows me knows what I do. And I literally will start talking to a stranger on the street about craniosacral therapy and literally give my business card out. So yeah, I feel a lot of pressure to get this right. But again, this is also something that not a lot of people have heard about. So even if I can get like one person that's even the slightest amount curious about this modality and what it looks like, I feel like I've done my job. So yeah, I'm going to continue to learn about it, probably correct myself, and probably share a lot more about it. But if you are dysregulated, so every listener, so sorry, unless you're like, I don't know what you're doing, but you're probably dysregulated. And if you're listening to us, you're definitely dysregulated. I'm going to be honest. Honestly, try out bodywork. I don't identify as a masseuse, kind of identify as a massage therapist, but really I feel like I'm a body worker because of the fact that craniosacral therapy, again, light touch, clothes on, not a massage. very different. Working with the fascia, working with a lot of the connective tissue versus having more of like that hands-on modality, which is a typical massage. If you are looking to get into some of this work, literally DM me, because I am super passionate about building out my network, obviously where I'm living, but also building out my network beyond that, because I think that connecting ourselves with other practitioners is super helpful. Again, so much of this is newer, and if we can kind of share that knowledge amongst one another and also continue to help people, that is why I'm in this work. I had so many years where I felt like I didn't know what was happening with my body, and I just wanted a practitioner to be curious and to be able to try things, learn, move forward, and continue to implement all of the things in which they are continuing to learn. So that was a long way of saying reach out if you're at all curious about this work, and I'm happy to chat through and answer any questions. A really big thank you for hanging in there with me. We promise. Shit, I gotta look at Maddy's schedule. We're basically a codependent couple at this point because I literally have her vacation and travel schedule written in my day planner. That's just who we are. The next podcast that we will be recording will be with the two of us. Thank fucking God. But we know we can do it, and we're only going to get better from here in our individual eps, because we do have a life and it's all about balance. We did duality a couple weeks ago, and that's what we're just trying to strive for every single day. So we will have a great episode for you guys because we owe it to you, honestly. Maddy's individual episode was chef's kiss. So good. Learned so much. Immaculate stories. I can't believe that I didn't even know much about her mission. It's so funny, I think, because we were technically two different religions. In her eyes, the same one, which again, still confusing, but I digress. We just never really talked about that mission or faith or anything like that. So it was really, really cool for me to be able to hear and digest what a Mormon mission looked like 10 years ago. So I hope you guys enjoyed that as well. And I hope you guys learned a little bit about bodywork, craniosacral nervous system regulation. Honestly, the more that I talked about it, the more I feel like I would love to dive into the things that I do as someone who relates to being dysregulated, being ADHD, being chronically ill, the things that I do to keep myself regulated. So maybe that's something that we will cover in a future episode, because again, I want everyone to be able to experience themselves the way that I feel like I have been able to experience myself in this season of choosing myself and having been able to find the things that help me feel joy and feel aligned. So I would love to share that with you, cousins. I don't actually know if I'm supposed to do a word for next time we're together. Wait, did we? I think that Maddy actually did the word for when we're together next, but I'm going to double down on it. She did steal it from me. So monochromatic, it's one of my favorite ways to dress. I always feel so fucking hot when I'm just wearing a cute little outfit with kind of like the different shades of the same color. I don't need to explain what monochromatic means, so I digress. But cousins, thank you so much for being here with me and being on the other side of this, because I needed you. I needed you to champion me through, and you did. So thank you. Don't forget any engagement. It's been so helpful. Even someone on TikTok the other day said, I sent it to Maddy. It made me LOL. Someone said make podcast equipment less accessible. But you know what? That's engagement, baby, okay? So yeah, maybe say something nicer, but I'll take anything. Like, subscribe, share, download, rate, review. I think I've gotten my spiel down. So if I miss anything, you know what to do. But it has been so lovely unpacking all of these things with you guys. And I'm so excited to have my dynamic duo back. My dynamic duo, my other half, Maddy. Can't wait to have you on the pod again, because this was harder than I thought. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm going to go pee. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next week. Bye.